Welcome back, guys. It's Music Meditations. So, as you probably have noticed, I don't upload a lot on this channel, at least not yet, but I'm here to change that today because I have something really special. I have a 6-part series that's going to be introducing you to the genre of progressive metal in an interactive kind of format. I've made a flowchart actually to help categorize them, and I know what this looks like. I know it's crazy, I know it's insane, but I'm going to walk you through it and we're going to get through it together. Also, a quick shout out to the r/progmetal subreddit. They've done so much for me over the years, and I'm a longtime lurker, and it's just a great resource if you want to find more. So this guide was created to help those who are new to the genre of progressive metal, and even metal in general, get started without being overwhelmed or just not being able to find something that appeals to their taste. Because it can be hard to get into things at first, definitely. But my approach to this guide is to help steer you kind of in the right direction. And give you the different paths that you can take to go down the rabbit hole. So if you want to see the full flowchart, you can actually download the PDF for free on our website, indefstudios.com. Go check that out if you'd like to look more into it. The beauty of progressive metal, I would say, is just how far the genre expands. It's a broad genre with many, I would say, undefined parameters. So we're going to need to hone the interests of the listener, which is you, and so we can find out what your tastes are. So we're starting off with 6 very different bands, and then we're going to move down in a sort of flowchart manner, which is where the interactive part of this comes in. If you don't like what you're hearing, just skip to the time that I'll have on the screen, and then you can just skip by that section and you won't have to listen to it. If you like everything you hear, well, you just keep listening until, you get to the end. So I personally think the best way to go through this video and all the episodes afterwards is to go through all the way, because just because you dislike the first band doesn't mean that you're going to hate every single one of the other bands in that category. So I've broken them down into their categories based purely on sound. So that's the only parameter. There is instrumentation and vocal styles. That's it. Not things like lyrical content or like themes or stuff like that. To define each category will be a single band, and then we'll use that band to move on to the next level, where there will be more bands, and then we'll keep going down the chart. Granted, with the limited time that you'll be spending listening to the clips, it'll be hard to tell if you really enjoy something, but think of it as taking a quick cursory glance into the different variations of progressive metal and picking out what sticks out to you the most. So also keep in mind, this is only modern progressive metal and only progressive metal that has vocals. No instrumental music will be included. Maybe that's a series for next time. Fair warning beforehand, it's not going to be a progression through the bands that influenced each other. So, for example, I have Tool as a subcategory to Opeth and Soen. I understand that Soen has been influenced by Tool, so I'm creating this list in a way that benefits the listener and caters to sound, and I'm not like paying homage to, well, Tool was the one who started this whole thing, so, we'll progress from there. It doesn't work that way. It goes purely on sound. So Tool would be after Soen. I was also not able to include every single band, obviously, but there were plenty I chose to leave out for specific reasons I might explain later. But if there are some that you love that you love listening to and they aren't on this list, then go ahead and drop them in the comments for us, and we can all check them out. Now, let's get started. So the first category we're starting off with is Opeth, the Swedish prog kings. So the keywords here are dark, somber, and jazzy. This category is darker, has a more somber atmosphere, and mixed harsh vocals a lot of times. Not all of them. Most of the bands in this category are actually clean vocals. But it takes root in traditional prog song structures, which means that it can be all over the place, and usually longer songs. And the instrumentation is very traditional prog-like. And fair warning, yes, I'm using the new Opeth for this category. Sorry about that. So old Peth will not be making an appearance in this guide. I know to a lot of people's disappointment, but if you're a fan of the older Opeth stuff, then I would suggest you check out episode 6. You might find something that you'll like in there. So from this category, we get two subcategories. The first being split off into the cold but more groove-based Soen. Soen is more focused into the atmospheric elements of this category.
Silence of the trees. By your silence, drenched in my doubt, numb from the burning cold.
From here we get two categories branching off, the first being Tool. Tool takes the darker elements and the groovy rhythm lines to create repetitive and droning pieces. From here you can find four bands that I feel represent Tool's different aspects in different ways. First we have Rishloo, a more melodic and fantasy-based band.
I've killed everyone here except for my dollar.
Which has one single subcategory, the band Signals of Bedlam, with only a little over 200 monthly listeners on Spotify, and that's a crime against humanity, so you better go listen to them right now. Then we have Carnival, who has the groovy bass lines and dark themes.
Stop making it up. I want us to break the case we're in. One of the two love is catatonic skin.
OSI, which has more electronic elements, but the same coldness of the category. And Chevelle, who is a jump into the nu metal side of music. Chevelle isn't necessarily progressive, but I just add them in here because I think if you do like Tool, then to a certain extent you might like Chevelle. The other Soen subcategory is Leprous, one of my favorite bands in this whole guide. Leprous has more soaring vocals, catchy guitar riffs, but still keeps the airy beauty of the previous bands. From Leprous, you can go four ways. Catatonia, which has more simple song structures, but focuses more on lyricism and feeling.
Mountains fell. We took away our anchor, letting the second go over a lifetime. We were signed.
Which then has two subcategories, a band called Whitechapel and another called In the Silence.
It's so hard to let go.
Moving backwards to the lesser known Vodum, which is a mix of probably everything I've mentioned so far. KO Dot, who brings a very weird twist to this section.
The evening colored air with the turns and the turnings of phrase in between.
And which also has two subcategories, Carnatia,
Today, search the forest of time. All mystery of life, of me. My feet became free.
Entangled Thoughts of Leaving. Last category of Leprous is a person, actually, known as Soen, who brings the intensity of wailing, haunting vocals And if you like that, you might enjoy the more black metal band called Neramarth that has a lot of Soen-esque moments. There will be more black metal in the future episodes, so stay tuned if that's your cup of tea. On to the second subcategory within the Opeth section, Steven Wilson. So Wilson represents the more traditional side of this section with more classic prog breakdowns, use of organs and flutes, and long songs. At least in the examples I'm going to provide, Steven Wilson has changed a lot. Even since I've been working on this video, he's constantly putting out content. I'm just going to be representing this small portion of Steven Wilson's music.
Becomes another empty space to fill, wasted with the care.
He uses a lot of organs and flutes and longer songs, and if you like Steven Wilson, you should look into the next four bands. The first being the Pineapple Thief.
But the further we got, the deeper we dug in. 'Cause I got demons, yeah, you should know. You put them in just a matter of time before it all caved in.
And if you like this more mystical and melodic sound, you should check out The Deer Hunter, who have a vast discography full of beautiful music.
Narrowed eyes, too tempted by his right desires.
Next up is Big Big Train, what I like to call a blast from the past, who manages to keep feeling fresh.
Come on and see what I found. Too many hours. Stoking the fire, brambled and bright.
And down this more classic subcategory, we find three amazing groups. The first being Transatlantic, who has two lovely children, the more classic rock sounds of Flying Colors, and then the eclectic and fun project called Spock's Beard.
At the end of the day, you'll be lying in a suit of gray at the end.
And from here we go to Car Mechanic.
By step.
Watch them move.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did. Buzz in a factory.
Car Mechanic has one subcategory, Jason Bieler and the Baron von Bielski Orchestra. And if the name tells you anything, you're in for something pretty unique. And then to finish it off, we have a band called The Sea Within.
The one goes down, frame by frame. This work of art, devil's pride. It's not right. Well, the ashes all down.
So, another direction you can go from Steven Wilson is to Riverside, a highly popular group from Poland.
From hand to mouth, returning around. Couldn't pretend that I felt strong else anymore. Without your help, my thoughts started. I just wanna feel your side on my neck.
And obviously, if we're talking about Steven Wilson, we can't go without mentioning Porcupine Tree.
Loose inside my head, I got books that I never ever read. I got secrets in my garden shed. I got a scar on my edge bed.
Beautiful harmonies and sometimes reminiscent of the Pink Floyd days. Porcupine Tree is always a long listen, but it's a rewarding one all the same. And from here we get Anathema, who has such sad and heartbreaking music that shatters your soul.
Splits the sky. If only you can open up your mind and see.
Anathema has two children, an alternative pop orchestra called Mir.
I'll let you dreamt of since you were a boy. Standing before you, dancing around you, enjoy. Is it up for sure and die? Still stick your head in the behind.
And also Evan Carson, who uses vocals sort of like an instrument to create unique sounds and textures that I've never heard before. The last three under Porcupine Tree are Cure, a band I found recently that deserves much more praise and attention than it gets.
Says you well apart from mine, everything's clear. I know I feel it in my heart.
Also Lion Shepherd.
Bo dziś zabrakło mi
And finally, Ghost Medicine to finish off this section. And that does it for episode 1. See, that wasn't so painful, right? So if you didn't like any of that, it's okay. We still have 5 more episodes to go, and possibly a 7th episode that I'm thinking about making. We could call it 6.5 maybe, I don't know. That'll have the stragglers, some of the ones that I intentionally left out because I couldn't fit them into categories. More on that later. So yeah, we've got plenty of music to listen to. See you guys next time, and bring your listening ears.